So, have you heard about the leaked plot of episode 9? Well, I have. Let me tell you what I think about it in one line. It's true, but not all of it. My name is Denise, and this is the Lords of the Sith. So, this time I'm going to tell you, if you haven't read anything, if you haven't heard anything, go and watch some of our old episodes. We have lots of fun stuff. You can also go and hear our old Star Wars connection, see that we got lots of things right, we are reliable. But if you have read them, and if you're already on this path, you might want to stick around. I think these plots are the path to the dark side. Not as in wearing cool clothes and having a dark saber, more like in pain and suffering. So if you've fallen down this hole, okay, so let's stick around and talk about it. All right, so I'm not gonna take long, and I'm gonna go straight to the point that's most controversial in the leaks. I'm talking about the leaks mostly by Jedi Praxis on Reddit. There are other leaks and they're similar, but I think he has the main ones, right? So that's what I'm talking about. And by the way, a leaker is just a leaker, it doesn't mean that he's trying to make anything. I don't have any problem with somebody, I'm disagreeing with the message, not the messenger. So let's start with the first point, which is one of the last points. So basically the idea is that at the end of the movie, Kylo Ren falls down a hole, never to be seen again. I think this is going to become a meme because they're like, never to be seen again, never to be seen again, never to be seen again. This would be when his Rey is confronting Palpatine, and then Kylo, according to the leaks, right? But it actually makes a lot of sense. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like that. So Kylo comes to help her, but then Palpatine shoots lightning and Kylo Ren falls. Ta-da! Right? So I don't think he's going to stay there, right? That's the first thing. But the second thing, I think it's very, very likely that this is true. Why? First of all, I was thinking, well, this is the rise of Skywalker, not the fall of Skywalker. And since 2015, we had Pablo Hidalgo saying that Kylo is the Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. And when we have the Rise of Skywalker, when the trailer came up, you see when the title comes, we have Kylo's theme. So whether you like it or not, when we're talking about Skywalker here, we're talking about Kylo. Okay, so the fact that the title is The Rise of Skywalker, I think it is metaphorical. Yes, he was in this black pit of pain and darkness, whatever, and he's going to rise. But it can also double and be physical, that he's going to rise from this pit that he's falling, right? And before you say, well, but why aren't the leakers saying that? I think because it's supposed to be this great big moment in the movies. And I think they're trying to keep it, to keep it like a secret. Maybe JJ knew that it was going to be leaked. And I've heard of scenes that are recorded. I don't know if that's the case here. It's a little bit of speculation that scenes that are sometimes recorded with a small team and then edited, just a small crew sees it, and that's why they don't see it. Also, another reason, it looks like these leaks are coming from marketing, post-production. There's somebody on Reddit that wrote well about it, but the thing is about the timing, right? If the leak had happened during writing, we would have heard about it earlier. Right now, with Jedi Praxis, we hear things from him, and shortly after, we see some piece of marketing that confirms his leaks. So he's getting his leaks from somebody who's related to marketing. Now, it's not that he only saw the trailer. I really don't think that's the case. I think he saw a lot more. He has a big plot that's too detailed for it to be just something that somebody made up, right? But it can be in marketing, people that saw a lot of shots, or maybe an almost finished version of the movie, but maybe that's missing this key scene, right? So that's why I think, so imagine you have this scene that's supposed to be the most scene where, where everybody's going to cheer at the movies. I don't see why they would put it in any trailer. And there is no reason whatsoever why they would have this scene being seen by people who are doing marketing, because it's not going to be in the marketing. So it's very likely that it is hidden somewhere. Okay? Now, why I can say it's with such confidence? There was a comic recently, Snoke comic, and it made a point that Kylo can save himself from a fall. And then you can say, well, but that's coincidence. It's very, very specific and very similar. And it was also a comic that put him in a very sympathetic light. He saw his mother and father, you're a son and everything. So it bodes well for redemption, that comic, right? And it also bodes well for him saving himself from a fall. But you can say, yeah, but in the plot that Jedi Praxis leaked, there was redemption, because he comes to save Rey. He comes and even used the blue lightsaber. In fact, we had some leaked photos of the blue lightsaber. But then again, the idea that he falls never to be seen again doesn't go with these comics, that he can save himself from a fall. And it's very, very specific, right? And you can say, okay, but why are they doing this only in the comics, not on the movies? Well, because the Star Wars fans are the ones who are picky and nitpicky, and the ones who sometimes have stuck to their own opinions and have fought about their opinions. So I think it's very important for them to get the Star Wars fandom there, right? Okay, so now I'm going to say in terms of plot, why it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense that he should fall, not to be seen for a long time, and he should fall in a way that you really, truly think that he's gone. In plot, in script writing, it's called the all is lost moment. When you think everything's lost, oh my God, we're screwed. And it's a moment that can be done really well, and it can be really emotional. An example that's not from Star Wars is the Toy Story 3, and you have all the toys, they're falling in an incinerator, and there's no way for them to get out, and they're gonna be burned alive, and they all hold their hands like, okay, we're together. I'm not telling the end, but there's Toy Story 4, so you know. Usually in these moments, what happens is that, you see how old it is. You have the cavalry arrives to save the heroes, right? So the heroes, or the hero, it would be Rey here, along this, is screwed, completely screwed, no way to find, to save themselves, and then something arrives, right? The cavalry arrives. If it's something that comes from within the plot, it's good. If it comes something that comes from out of nowhere, it's bad. Then it would be what we call deus ex machina. It comes from Greece. At the time, there were lame playwriters already, and basically, I guess they wrote themselves into a corner, and then at some point they just put the gods come to the play and solve the problem. That's deus ex machina, and that's bad writing for a tradition of 2,000 years. So according to Jedi Praxis plot, I'm not blaming Jedi Praxis, okay? I'm just saying the plot. Maybe he heard it all. Maybe it's a fake plot by Disney. I don't know. But according to him, what happens is that after Kylo falls, Rey is alone, right? So it would be a all is lost moment. And then she has the voices of the Jedi to help her. I think, yes, it's inspiring. Yes, it's cool. But at the same time, it's pretty much deus ex machina, right? You literally have not the gods, but the spirits coming, and it's something that was not really in the plot. Maybe they put a little in the beginning that she wants to connect, but it doesn't arise organically from the plot. Now, when you have the cavalry that's related to the plot, that would be Kylo. Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples in Star Wars of the all is lost moment. So in episode 4, we have Luke is trying to shoot the Death Star. He has Darth Vader on his tail. There are no more ships around him, and they're about to fire. okay? They don't really milk the moment for emotional impact because it's very fast, but basically he's screwed, right? And there's nothing he can do to get himself out of this situation. And then what happens? Ta-da! Han Solo comes up in the Millennium Falcon, and then he's saved. And it emerges from the plot because it kind of makes sense that Han wouldn't just leave them, right? So it's really cool. In The Force Awakens, there is something a little bit, there are a few all is lost moments a little here and there, but one that's very clear. We have Rey clutching Finn's body and she's crying and the ground around them is crumbling and they have no way to escape. And then Chewie comes in the Millennium Falcon, right? All is lost moment, cavalry arrives. For The Last Jedi, we got 2 moments of those. One when all the ships are being shot, Rose and Finn are about to die, and then Holdo goes and, okay, I'm gonna save him. It's not, that was not a true cavalry arriving. But later you have everyone is in that resistance base, and then the First Order is about to get him, and they're screwed, and then Luke arrives. You see, what is common in all these moments that I'm talking is that you have a character that was kind of forgotten, kind of disappeared, and that comes in a way that makes sense for the plot. So that's why I'm saying, yes, it makes a lot of sense that Kylo falls, and that it makes you feel that it's really for real. Because then Rey gets the inspiration from the Force ghosts, and she's going to face Palpatine, and I think things are not going to go well. And then we're going to have another all is lost moment, and then imagine Rey's about to die, dramatic music, oh no, and then Kylo comes and helps her save the day. Okay, so that it makes sense in terms of plot, right? And because this all is lost, cavalry arriving, it's a staple in commercial movies. You're gonna see it everywhere. And we didn't have, according to the plot, we didn't have one before. Maybe when she was alone and then Kylo comes to help her a little bit. It's kind of a fake all is lost, cavalry arriving. But if he really falls and disappears and then comes back, it makes a lot of sense. Another issue about it is that we saw on the Instagram, I think it was Instagram, I'm sorry, of Kylo's makeup artist. There was like a lot of makeup that was used for blood, so he's going to be really hurt. And according to the plot that we don't have this moment that he's really hurt. He's shot by lightning, falls down a hole. So why did they spend money and time and doing makeup on him? It doesn't make sense. It makes sense that maybe it's after that he's gonna come back, and then this bigger fight ensues, and he gets hurt then, all right? So, and after he falls, it's also another opportunity for Rey to use another Force skill that she has acquired. So, according to some leaks, and it is in Jedi Praxis leaks, she now can heal, right? So, just think about it. They're giving Rey another Force ability. I don't think I've heard a single soul saying, yeah, Rey is cool, but if only she had more Force abilities. Or somebody saying, I hate Rey, she needs to have more Force abilities. It doesn't exist, right? As a character, she doesn't need to have another Force ability. She already has enough, and some people even think she has more than enough, and because we didn't see, maybe whatever. Anyways, so it's not something that is needed for the character. So if it's given to her, what is it gonna be used for? To resurrect Kylo, right? And how can she resurrect him if he's down in a hole? No, she can resurrect him if he comes back, and then they have this fight, and then she can use it, right? According to Jedi Praxis plot, she actually uses this, but it really sounds kind of ridiculous. I'm sorry. So basically, according to the plot that he has, Rey and Kylo fight, and then she stabs him through the chest, and then she heals him, right? So first of all, that's very dark for her to stab him through the chest. I know that Kylo stabbed his father, but think about it, he was under a dark influence. We need 3 movies to do his redemption. It's a different story. Rey, if it's Rey herself, if she's not under a dark influence, if she has no reason for that, and there's no time for her to get down a dark path now. She's a hero. People they're not gonna make her stab Kylo through the chest, and also to stab him just to then use this new unique force powers to say, oops, my bad, hey, let me fix this. It sounds ridiculous, right? That they would give her this force power for her to do an act that's really bad. It's not something that the heroes do, stab Kylo through the chest and then to heal him right away, so it kind of gets meaningless. It's really stupid. So I agree that she might have these healing powers, but that if she's going to use them, she's going to use for Kylo, but it has to be at the end, which would be kind of another all is lost moment. Oh my God, he died, right? So I think that's what it would be, and it makes sense. It's important to notice that another point that I think is that right now we have the Rise of Kylo Ren comics, and I think the first issue we are learning that his past was he's a lot more innocent than we thought. So basically, according to these comics, he did not kill Luke's other students. Not only he did not kill them, they tried to kill him, right? So they're really trying to get this idea that he's innocent, and I don't see why they would do it if he had to redeem himself and die right afterwards, right? So we accepted Vader because maybe the reason we accepted Vader was because he died afterwards, right? Even though he did terrible, terrible things. But I think they're really attenuating Kylo's guilt, and they wouldn't be doing that if the idea was to having just, go there, do something good quickly and die. Another reason is that I don't think he stays in the hole. Again, I think he falls because it makes a lot of sense with the Rise of Skywalker. There's something else. In the New Yorker, there was an article about Kylo, and we have a quote from JJ. And he says he's explaining how Kylo is not happy, right? And then even as he becomes supreme leader, he's wanting. And then for Kylo, the hole only gets bigger. It's weird that JJ didn't notice the double entendre. Okay, but let's forget the other meaning, right? But basically, JJ is using the hole as a metaphor, right, for Kylo. Again, we're going very specific, and I think that makes sense. It makes sense that Rise is about going up, but it's also about getting out of this cliff, this hole. Another reason that I think, it's gonna happen is that if you look at the trailer, when Rey is in front of Palpatine, there is something that looks like a cliff right behind her, right? So again, it's very likely that he falls, but for us to think that that's how he stays there, it doesn't make sense in terms of plot, because that's what I was getting at. Because, okay, so maybe he could die, all right, but he would die in the climax, right? In The Last Jedi, for example, we had a major character dying, but he died in a great grand gesture, look, and he died in the climax. You cannot have the character that the trilogy is about dying before the climax. It just doesn't make any sense, right? So he has to die. If there is a fight after there is a confrontation with Palpatine, his death needs to be when Palpatine dies. He would need to die in order to defeat Palpatine in a grand gesture, and he needs to be alive. He needs to be present in the climax, which if he dies and then Rey alone confronts Palpatine, it really doesn't make sense, right? Because he's one of the protagonists, and the trilogy is about him, and this movie, I think, it's about him. So it makes sense, right? So it makes total sense with all his lost moment, and then this character that wasn't around comes back, and it's that moment, woohoo, which I think is going to be awesome. It makes sense because he would be then in the climax, and if he just dies, he wouldn't be in the climax. And it makes sense because there has been this whole effort in terms of making him redeemable, and if it was just to kill him off, there wouldn't be any need for that. And another reason, we have seen in canon comics that he can save himself from a fall. Very specific. He can literally save himself from a fall. So we know that he can, and I guess people watching the movie are going to say, why? How did he do that? Whatever. So it makes sense. Another reason that I think the ending that we're getting from his plot is not really the true ending is because, according to him, what happens is that then Rey goes and takes the name Skywalker. So this detail almost makes me think that this is a plot that's leaked on purpose, and they put that ending kind of to justify, right? So if you have this plot where Kylo dies, but it's Rise of Skywalker, you're like, oh, where's the Skywalker? So it's kind of a way to kind of make it seem more plausible. I mean, I guess for the leakers, I don't know, or maybe they just made that up, I don't know. So the idea is that Rey says her name now is Skywalker, right? And there's more. She's gonna take the lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber, because in the plot there is Leia has a lightsaber. That I think might be true, that Leia has a lightsaber. Okay, but according to this leaked plot, Rey takes these lightsabers. She I guess scavenges the lightsaber and makes a lightsaber for herself, right? So okay, so let's go on the lightsaber. I think Star Wars is big on symbolism, on relics, on objects. For her to take the Anakin's lightsaber and break it down, it's almost as if she's desecrating it, right? She's taking the symbol of the prequel trilogy and the old trilogy, and then breaking it apart and getting something for her. And according to the leaks, it's a yellow lightsaber. I understand it kind of matches Bastila Shan, but it's a color that was not in the family Skywalker. So for her to do that, it's a little disrespectful. It's a little like desecrating it, destroying, taking the old trilogy, what's left of the old heroes, and destroying, and just kind of usurping it and usurping the name, right? Why would she name herself a Skywalker, right? And I think another reason that why it doesn't make sense, Kathleen Kennedy and a lot of people from the cast and crew have said that the sequel trilogy is about family. Kathleen Kennedy has said that the saga movies are about family. So for somebody to just go and take the name Skywalker, it does not fit into a saga story, right? And it's not about family. And even if you think, no, but maybe they're crazy, right? They took some drugs and they wrote this plot. I think Disney is paying attention to the how people are reacting. Now, just try to imagine for a moment people that were really, really looking forward to seeing Rey as a continuation of their heroes, or some kind of legacy continuing, right? Some kind of... And then not only she's not related to them, she goes and destroys the lightsaber, and then she takes the name. I think they would be very angry. People who are upset, they're going to be even more upset, right? And I think it's not about family then. It's not to say, oh, so only the blood matters. It's not the blood, it's the family. If she had been adopted by them, like Leia, right? Leia Organa. There's nothing wrong with the name. If they want to call the new trilogy Organa, whatever, it makes total sense. But when you have someone, why? Because just, just take the name. It doesn't make sense. I've seen some theories that Skywalker would become a title for whatever. I don't think that's the case. Because, again, the Skywalkers saga is about family. It's not about a name, right? And that's even the reason why people were like, no, Kylo is not a Skywalker. Well, he is, even if he doesn't have the name. It's about family. It's not about the name. There are only two ways that a person that was not born from a family can enter a family. Adoption, raise a little bit old for that, right? And marriage, right? That's the only way that she can do. So that ending that's in Jedi Praxis leaks, it's not believable, and I think it's kind of a little bit offensive. I'm not saying he is offending. I'm saying whoever leaked this information, I don't know if they wanted to, I don't know if it was on purpose and they wanted to do something so horrible that people go to the theaters prepared for the worst, and then whatever they see, they're gonna like it, right? In comparison to this, it's going to be that. But I don't see them giving the Skywalker name to Rey. It would really, really piss off people who don't like her, especially people who are hoping that she was Luke's daughter. They would be really pissed, I think. Just thinking the name out of the blue. Imagine breaking the lightsaber to make her own lightsaber. Again, that it's like usurping, desecrating. It doesn't make sense. And it doesn't align with the idea that this is a saga about family, right? So that's the problem with it. And that's why if it's about family, the family needs to continue. For the family to continue, we need Kylo alive, right? Or, okay, fine, you can maybe, right, you know, it's not about blood, because you could maybe, I don't know, say they cloned Luke's hand or whatever. Actually, Kylo had a fling in the First Order. They could do that. But then it's not about family. It's about blood, whatever. And this is a trilogy that's about family. Family is about love, it's about people, it's about, you know, connection. It's a bit deeper than that. And you have to think something that's quite important as well, right? So they paid a lot of money for Star Wars. And you know that the movies, the saga movies, they are profitable and they are going to be profitable. But we don't know about the other movies, right? Is this new trilogy, I don't even know who's going to do it. Is this new trilogy going to work? I think so, if it's something in the Old Republic, but it might not be the same. So you have this franchise based on a family saga. Why? It doesn't make any sense that somebody would just end the saga. I know they're saying it's going to end, but maybe the name is going to change or something, not the family saga. And if you think about it, oh, but what about the Kylo haters? Even I would say it's a minority, right? First of all, people who hate Kylo, who think he should just die a horrible death, which is fine, okay? It's an opinion. It's fine as long as you, but you know, people who hate him, they're a minority. But even let's say if it was like 50-50, right? 50% of the viewers hate Kylo, want him to die. 50% of the viewers love Kylo and want him to have beautiful babies. I mean, I mean that part, and I also want the saga to continue, right? So would you risk maybe offending some people now, right? But think about 10 years from now. They have to think about that. It's a business. They're business people. They have to think about 10 years from now when I think they're going to have the new saga and whether they're going to have a family to have a saga. It's better to maybe piss off some people now, which is not even a lot, and have a saga to make money from 10 years from now than to, oh my God, what if they're, you know, to do that. So for them to have a saga in 10 years, they need Kylo alive, unless they were to have some big Reylo where we know a baby was conceived, right? Kind of like Revenge of the Sith, where we actually see Anakin and Padme in bed, but you know, we know that they are conceived. So if they're not gonna have that, they need Kylo alive, right? Ideally with Rey. Why? Because it's a family saga, and family, you do know how babies are born, right? I mean, so that's the thing. So they need that. And that's why, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to stop here. So that's what I wanted to say. So you may think, you're saying that because you're a Reylo. I wasn't born a Reylo, okay? I watched the movie, and that's what I saw in the movie. It comes from movie analysis, right? And if you think about the trailer, did you ever see Kylo as a villain in the trailer? Did he look like a villain, or did it seem he didn't? Right? I didn't see him like a villain in one shot, and he was always where Rey was. And their interactions didn't look that they were adversarial, except for the lightsaber duel, which is something that we're all looking forward to, right? So that's it. So I'll just go back some other things in the Jedi Praxis plot. I'm not going to go over everything because it's a lot. Is first basically Kylo finds the Emperor. But then he meets them, and according to the plot, he just goes to find Rey because the Emperor told him so. Okay. I mean, he'd been under Snoke for a long time. He's supreme leader now. Why would he just obey this guy? You know, it doesn't make sense, unless maybe he gives him another reason. So I think there's more to that we're not seeing, and, you know, a bigger reason. And if they were to really tie it more with the prequel trilogy, we would have maybe the Emperor baiting him based on his feelings for Rey. That could maybe work, you know, but just that he just follows the Emperor like that, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Something else that's a little bit strange is that in this plot, they're always only enemies, and maybe it's Lucasfilm that's trying to preserve this plot between Rey and Kylo because it's what people most want to see, and because you need that will they, won't they dynamic. If they don't preserve it, it's gonna be, oh, of course they will, duh. And you want that. You know, you want people to be curious, to be worried even, you know, to say, oh my God, are they going to kiss? Is that going to happen? It's important. So maybe they're preserving it, and that's how these leaks are coming out, or maybe he's interpreting like that. I don't know. But basically it sounds just like they're adversaries. Another issue that I find a little bit strange is about Rey's parents. So basically, according to this plot, Rey's parents were trying to protect her. It really goes against The Last Jedi, because in The Last Jedi, first of all, Kylo wasn't lying, and second, he was saying, say it, like she already knew. She knew that, so it wasn't something that he made up. He just said something that she already knew. So unless her memories were, there is a way to still do it, right? But you can't have Kylo lying. They're making all this effort to have him redeemed. Imagine if he lied to Rey about her parents. It's a little weird. And then there's also something that there's in the leaked plot, that the person who was going to kill her didn't kill her but left her, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And left in a ship, and his ship is the ship that we see. But, you know, I think this is based on theories that saw the ship in the trailer and saw the ship in the TFA and say, oh, that's the same ship, but the ships are actually different, right? So that's one thing. And I think that doesn't make a lot of sense. There are other things that are actually pretty cool, I find, in the leaked plot about the dagger, what maybe happens to Chewie. But overall, in this leaked plot, Kylo seems very villainous, right? He's still like at the end of TLJ, he's in that mode, which doesn't really match with what we saw in the trailer, and doesn't match with the material that we're getting and the idea that he's going to get redemption. So I think those things don't really match. In his plot, we also have Kylo just turning good all of a sudden because of his father. It could be an emotional scene. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little fast. I think there are things missing there. And my theory actually is that JJ knew that it was going to be leaked, and he has some kind of like a kind of fake plot, which is preserving the main themes and the main beats. If you think about it, I know that with Rian a lot less was leaked, but even then with Rian Johnson, we didn't know about the Force bond at all. There was nothing about it in the leaks before, and we had no idea about Palpatine, about Snoke being killed. We had no idea about that, right? So these are things that they kept in secret. So I think they're keeping things in secret for this movie as well, and I think it might have something to do with her lineage, her parents. They're also saying that she's a Palpatine, which in this plot I don't really see how it is rewarding in terms of plot, but I think it's likely because lots of people would like to see her related to some old character, right? So it kind of makes sense, but I'm not sure about it. So it's just, in terms of interaction, intention, it doesn't really match with that. And as for Kylo falling down, in terms of plot, in terms of structure, it doesn't make sense. He would need to die in the climax, right? If he were going to die in the climax with a great grand gesture, that would make sense. But at the same time, if he dies and if he didn't have any romance, the family saga is finished, which is crazy. I mean, it doesn't make sense that they would do that. And let's not say, but if she calls herself Skywalker, we can have another quote unquote Skywalker movies. I mean, I don't know. Some people, I think the younger viewers who really like her might go and watch her, but if it's like the fans of the old Star Wars, I don't think so. I think people would riot in the theaters. So, and if anyone is super, super, super worried, just think that maybe the super negative reactions to these leaks, maybe if they were, I don't know, if they were drunk or something and they had the idea of doing that, I would change my mind pretty quickly, because if these leaks were true, the one thing that they would do is unite the Star Wars fandom, right? Everybody hates that. That's one thing that's cool. Everybody hates it. It doesn't matter who you are. Everybody hates the ending, right? With Kylo dying like that, and I'm a Skywalker now. I have a yellow lightsaber. Screw the yellow. It doesn't make sense. So think about the idea of plot structure. He has to die a meaningful death in the climax, or not die. But then you have the idea of all this lost moment, and when you have this all this lost moment, it's very common that you have this other character that was a little bit around, you kind of forgot about them, or they maybe disappeared, and they come and they save the day. And just imagine, right, if it's Ben Solo coming to save the day, it can be really cool. And he needs to be hurt, seriously hurt, which is something that we know it's gonna happen because we saw the makeup artist and it's not on the plot. So, see, something wrong here. And Rey, if she has healing abilities, she has to use it in a meaningful way. It has to mean something for the plot. They're not gonna give her awesome abilities just to do something that's really dark and then, oopsies, let me fix that. It doesn't make sense. So these are my thoughts for it. I ended up talking more about the end. I wanted to go through the whole thing, but I guess that's fine. And if you want to read it, I already said, don't read it, right? Don't read it. But if you really want to read it, it's Jedi Praxis on Reddit. There are also some other leaks. Making Star Wars has some other leaks as well, but they're quite similar. And maybe it's Disney and Lucasfilm that's trolling us with these leaks, or maybe people are just making assumptions from things that are incomplete. It happens. I think we're gonna have a nice surprise, and something good in the movies. JJ is a smart guy, right? He might not be I think he's good, but he notices things. When it was time to start again the sequel trilogy, he knew that some people were upset about the prequels, about the effects, and he tried to bring everybody back, people who had lost trust in Star Wars. I know, people who grew up with the prequels, like, what are you talking about? But some people lost, and he knew what he had to do to bring people back, to bring the trust of the people. And this time, if you look at it, one of the first few scenes that leaked was, and I think it was on Poe Poe and Finn running, so it's like, oh, okay, this is gonna be more like The Force Awakens, right? And we go in the trailer and see things that people like. Oh, the ships, we get a little dark Rey, we get so many things that fans want, right? So I think he knows what fans want. And if you look at fans want, there was a survey on Star Wars, like what did you like most about the trailer, and there were a lot of options. I think like 10 options, and last time I saw it was 79% everything Rey and Kylo Ren, right? Even though there are some things that are awesome, like C-3PO, Lando, the ships, the Orbaks on the ship, so many awesome moments, and 79% was about Rey and Kylo. And there's an interview with John Boyega where he's also saying, oh, that's what people want to see, the Rey and Kylo. And remember at Celebration they were teasing about it. So Rey's a smart guy, he knows what people want, and he wouldn't do he could do a predictable movie by the numbers. I think that's something that he could do, but he wouldn't do something so obviously offensive to the Star Wars fandom. That's not JJ. Okay, so this is it for today. Let me know what you think, and if you liked it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, you can also connect with us on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can listen to us on iTunes and SoundCloud and YouTube. Thank you very much for listening, and may the Force serve you well.